Well, what a morning, hey? What a day of celebration. A lot of smiles, a lot of laughter. And there's a couple of other mothers or soon-to-be mothers in our mix that'll get exciting for their day to come. So I want everyone to stand up and take a big smell. Yep, stretch. Okay, take it easy. Now take a seat, Now, did anyone smell anything particular this morning? B.O.? Oh, me, yes. No, I've got Beckham on, mate, so just so you know. Use it once a week on Sundays, yep. I think, where's David Godkin? Now, you don't have smell, David. So you can't smell anything. I can't smell, but some say I Now, does anyone have a particular fragrance they like to wear? Anyone? Yes? What's your fragrance? Sorry? Poem. Beautiful. But I don't know about you, but when something smells good, it just encaptures you, doesn't it? Okay, now, for the men in the room, we're thinking, oh, yeah, perfume. We're probably thinking, ever go for a walk on a Saturday late afternoon? You can smell people's barbecue and that meat aroma that just floods the community. I'm like, yeah. I was thinking of having like a roast on or a slow-cooked meat out the back or anything like this, but no, I didn't do that. But my point being is something happens to us, and they say that our sense of smell, is the most important sense when it comes to memory. And so today we're going to be looking at this particular passage in John 12, 1-8, where Jesus is anointed at Bethany by Mary, not Mary, his mother. And we see this, and I want us to have an understanding of what this actually is about. I paint the picture. It's 6 days before the Passover. The Passover is a Jewish festival where we celebrate the freedom from slavery that Moses led God's people out. And we also need to understand that at this time, everyone wanted, the authorities wanted Jesus, to capture Jesus and arrest him. Okay. We also, they're in Bethany, which is like a suburb or a city just outside the city of Jerusalem. And who's ever been to the Easter show and it's absolutely packed shoulder to shoulder? Anyone? Okay, picture that. That was Jerusalem at Passover time. So much so that all the other outer suburbs were also flooded with people. So this is where we find ourselves and the story in. And we get to a point in the story where they realize, the disciples, the inner circle, Jesus' inner circle realizes that he doesn't have long left. And they have a banquet, a dinner to honor Jesus. I don't know if you've ever went to a particular dinner it's a celebration, but you actually honored the person. In Australian culture, we'll normally do that by making fun of them, joking around, taking the mickey out of them. Right at the end, we say, oh, but we love you. But I went for one of my spiritual heroes. She had turned 60, and in her inner circle, about 20, 25 people, we had this intimate setting. We're in this nice place. It was just a table with 20 of her closest friends. And we sat there, and everyone took turns honoring the guest or the person we're celebrating. It was absolutely beautiful. And I can only think that all these people, those closest people, together in one room, honoring Jesus for who he was. Don't you think that's beautiful? So that's the picture. That's where we land. And I want to ask you this question. What does it look like to honor Jesus with your life? I'm not talking about a dinner. What does it look like to honor Jesus with your life? You can share some stuff. What does it look like to honor Jesus with your life? Sorry? To be spirit-led, led by him. What else? He has priority of your life. What else? He's a friend you can always walk to and talk to. Yeah? What else? You make time for him. You make time for others. That's how we honor him. What else? Always be willing to do his will. Be obedient to the calling. And we could go on. And I believe I have read this story, I would say hundreds of times. It's one of my things. I read the Gospels over and over and over. I think if I can get enough understanding of Jesus and who he was and all that in me, I think it'll help me live my life. And I was thinking, the more I read this, I believe there's some great examples in this particular passage that show you and I, that encourage you and I how we can honor Jesus with our life. And one of the first things that was brought up to me when I read this, I did this in my devotions a couple of months ago. The first thing that was brought to me is this: we can all honor Jesus in different ways using what we currently have. We can all honor Jesus in different ways using what we currently have. God doesn't ask us to honor him with something that we don't have. He asks us to honor him with something that we do have. I was thinking of the youth and all our youth leaders, fantastic youth leaders. One of the best things you'll ever do is invest in young people to come to know Jesus. And I was thinking, you're honoring Jesus by serving. And we see that in Martha. In the verse 2 it says, Martha served. And I think we can honor Jesus by simply serving with what we have to offer. And for many of us today, I just encourage you, keep serving. And then it goes on, and I think in the story when I read, Lazarus, he's so lazy. All those men in that time, they didn't have to do any work. Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. So how do we honor Jesus? We give him our undivided focus and attention. We are present. And we make time for Jesus. And when I read the story, I thought he had the easiest task. But actually today, I think we might need more Lazarus. I think we need more people that will take time out to sit with Jesus and give him our undivided attention. We honor Jesus by giving him quality time. I did this in my marriage prep with heaps of people. You honor your spouse by giving them quality time. Are you with me? And when I read this, I'm thinking, man, God, I want to honor you. I want to give you some quality time, some deep space, just me and you. And the other thing is we see, and the focus is often on Mary, this is extravagant gift. But she displays how she honored Jesus this day. She was generous with everything she had. When you are generous with whatever you have, it's a way that we honor Jesus. In 1 Peter 4:10 it says, each of you should use whatever gift he has received to serve others faithfully, administering God's grace and its various forms. Every single person in this room has gifts and skills that can honor the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You have something to offer. Not what you don't have, who you are as a person right now, where you're at right now. You have something to honor Jesus Christ. You have something to give back to this world. And you are called to use whatever you have to honor Jesus and to make his agenda your agenda for your life. And when I read the story about this dinner of honoring Jesus, we can do it through service. We can do it through generosity. And we can do it from be simply present and available. This is probably the most challenging part when I read this, and I don't ever want people to think I preach at people, because you know what? Most of the time I'm convicted myself. But the second challenging thing that came out of this was humility and sacrifice is required to honor Jesus. Humility and sacrifice is required to honor Jesus. See, convenient Christianity is not honoring Jesus. Convenient Christianity is not honoring Jesus. It's not true Christianity. Convenient faith is killing the Western church. It's faith when it suits us. And we see in this beautiful story the humility and sacrifice of Mary. And I think it's a pinnacle. It is one of the greatest displays that Jesus ever received from someone close to him. You know, in Palestine, and I think we've come a long way in society from now about women in society, and I think we've got still a bit to go. But in Palestine, you were not allowed to have your hair down. So Joe, you wouldn't be able to be seen in public with that hair down, okay? It's okay. It's all good. We've moved on there. But you wouldn't be able to have your hair down. And when you were married, you could never again have your hair down in public. It would be seen as, oh, she's not very nice, you know, that stuff. They would think they're worse. And so we had this idea in Palestine that was beyond. You just did not do that. And here we have, picture this, here we have her, Mary, wiping Jesus' feet with her hair. It was a sign that I do not care what anyone thinks. I'm utterly devoted to you, Jesus. And then she pours a year's wages of perfume over Jesus' feet, wiping it with her hair. And it was a display as I don't care about the possessions of the world. What I care is honoring you. And you know what it says in Psalm 23? We talk about anoint my head with oil. She didn't anoint Jesus' head with oil. She anointed his feet as a sign that she was a servant to the King of Kings. Do you think that's beautiful? And she did everything that she had. It was what she had to offer. And I read this and I was thinking, Jesus, I don't think I have anything that worthwhile to offer you. I don't think I can offer that extreme thing. I don't have a year's wages sitting around. And then I just felt like the Holy Spirit says, Mark, the greatest display of humility and sacrificial love you can show me, or we can show Jesus, is a life completely surrendered to him. That is the sacrifice. That is the humility. To surrender your life to the will of the Father's. And if you truly want to honor Jesus with your life, you have to lay it down. It says in Luke 9, 23, 24, then Jesus said to them, if any of you would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever will lose his life for me will be saved. In Romans 12:1, I urge you to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. I ask myself this question. If people could see my life in every part of my life, would they see someone who honors Jesus with everything they have? Would they see a life of humility and sacrifice? And I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm not talking about being perfect and beating ourselves up and, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good. No, I'm not saying that. But a heart's desire to humbly live in a way that honors the King and that honors Jesus with everything that we have. It's challenging, isn't it? Humility and sacrifices is required to honor Jesus. And the third thing is this. When honoring Jesus, you will always have opposition from inside and outside the church. I think about Mark and Julie and David and Sandra, those being in executive leadership. I'm thinking, well, they'd have some arrows from time to time, inside and outside the church. When honoring Jesus, you will always have opposition from inside and outside the church. And we see this right here. Mary has done one of the most beautiful, sacrificial, selfless displays of love towards Jesus, and she's criticized for it. Comprehend that. And Jesus says, hey, you'll always have the poor, but he also says she's done a beautiful thing. And I think at times, have you ever done something right by people and by God and been criticized for it? Anyone? Yeah? That's called a life of a disciple. And we need to continue to do that. Sometimes expect it. You know, over the years, one thing that we have tried as a church is being more hands and feet. We're not just a Sunday church. We're a 7-day-a-week church. And we're doing more social work than we've ever done in the Shire, helping more people than we've ever done. But you know what? Sometimes you'll still face opposition. We have a number of transitional houses for families who've experienced domestic violence or disadvantaged in some way, that they're needing somewhere to stay, a safe place to stay. And I can remember we got some of these houses sorted, but you probably would know this. But we have copped criticism. The first 18 months, we must have copped phone call after phone call. And what people have is the Salvers have bought this. They're worrying that this big ghetto is going to happen in their back, not in my backyard. And people are getting their back up and abusive. To the point of we're getting trolled online in the salvos. I can remember Lynn coming in one time. She's quite emotional. She's been berated by some guy. To a point that we said, anyone from that area that calls about our house, I said, I will have to speak to them. I can remember sitting at my table with their name, with their number, thought, Lord, give me your grace because I want to tell them something completely different about what you want me to tell them, you know. I wanted to give it to them with both barrels. And God was saying, you must honor them like you would honor me. You will face opposition when you honor Jesus with your life. But it will be the best thing you'll ever do. And today, I can tell you my takeaway. I just want us to have a re-look at our life. And we think to ourselves, is there any area in my life that I can honor Jesus more in? And you know the good news. So this has been a challenging message, I know. The good news is this. It's in verse 3. It says, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. I want to tell you this. Honoring Jesus blesses the whole house. Honoring Jesus blesses the whole house. The fragrance was filled in the house. Honoring Jesus blesses the whole house. If you want your kids to be blessed, honor Jesus. If you want favor, not that I'm saying it's going to be easy on your life, you honor Jesus. I think about Mary. She's put her hair, wiped it over Jesus' dirty feet. And when she left, she would have been reminded of the loving act that she showed Jesus. I think about when Jesus would have left. I'm sure some perfume, a liter of perfume would have spilt over on his garments and he would have been walking around smelling that aroma. I can only imagine in the house, everyone there would have thought, man, I'm watching something special. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if I'm with Judas thinking that's a waste or I'm thinking this is a beautiful thing. I'm thinking people outside the house would have smelt the perfume, a bit like that barbecue we spoke about. I'm thinking that people would have been blessed from this sacrificial love. And I want to tell you today that when you honor Jesus with your life, the house, the world in which you live, those closest to you will be blessed. Joel and Jess, when you honor Jesus, which you have and you'll continue to do, your 2 kids, Finn and Hazel, will be blessed. But your grandparents will be blessed. Your cousins will be blessed. Your parents will be blessed. What will happen is you will be blessed and everyone in your world will be blessed. The fragrance of your faithfulness will flood over everyone you come in contact with. And the calling for us is to honor God with what we have. You know, scholars say, I was reading the passage, I'm going to finish. Scholars say that particular verse, in verse 3, where it says, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume, they actually say that they believe that the house, it's not just talking about the smell in the house, they're talking about the church, capital C. The church was filled with the fragrance of display of love. And that now, a couple of thousand years ago, we're still talking about this beautiful display of love. Because what Mary outlined was a life of honoring Jesus, and that we all can honor him in various forms. And today the team's going to come up and they're going to sing a song, but I'd like you to close your eyes. And I simply want to ask you this question. How can I honor Jesus more with my life? Time, gifts, and resources. And more practically, don't think, oh, I'm far, I've got all these things to work on. Think of one thing in your life, one area of your life that you could honor Jesus more. One area of your life. Could be your time, could be your service, could be your giving. And my prayer is that all of us have something to offer the King of Kings. And that we would leave today knowing that when honoring him, everyone wins. And your fragrance of honoring him will flow on and bless others. But you have something to offer. You have something to offer. So as the team plays, I just want you to think about yourself. What's one area in your life that God, the Holy Spirit, that prompting right now in your spirit, what's one area in your life that you can honor Jesus, better honor Jesus?